Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Author's Eye with me, your host, Mark Cartwright. And this week I am joined by the science fiction writer, Sally Ann Melia. Hello, Sally.
Hello, Mark. How are you? Just trying to sort up that.
I'm
Step
I'm very well. I think I'm very well. It's funny because the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight, book fairs, is
Yes.
taking up quite a bit of my time at the moment.
Well, tell me about it. Why did we
Yeah.
ever get involved in the Farnham Literary Festival? I have to say, it
Oh,
takes up all
yeah.
my life as well.
Yeah, because you've got your flash
Uh,
fiction and audio book competitions, haven't you?
yeah, so I got almost 200 entries for the flash fiction competition, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah,
And I got a lot of entries for the audiobook competition, so I'm well pleased with it really overall.
yeah. But it is a
Yeah.
lot of time and effort, isn't it? In terms of
Yes,
because
it
you're
is. Yeah.
judging, aren't you? You're doing a lot of the
I
judging.
have to do the original triage, and
Yeah,
then after that, I hand them out to the Hogsback writers to judge.
yeah.
But yes. hmm
Keeps you out of trouble, I suppose.
Keeps me out of
Right.
trouble. Yeah.
So anyway, well, let's talk about this book fair. So the reason why it's a hot topic for us at the moment is because, as you just alluded to there, the Farnham Literary Festival is coming up beginning of March, and
Yes.
we've been invited to put together an indie book fair, which is the first time that the festival people have effectively allowed any such thing to happen. So it's quite an exciting opportunity, particularly for the local authors. And yeah, so we've been trying to go out there and all the rest of it in terms of getting people. But I thought it might be interesting just to go through a few things, because I think there's two aspects really to book fairs. There's the organization or the event organizing that we're currently doing. And then there's actually the being an author who's taking part in the book fair. And I think, we could probably have a discussion around the two different aspects to what we're talking about in terms of the book fair. Yeah. So anyway, let's look at the actual process. So when we were asked to pitch to the literary festival people at Farnham, one of the things that we did was we came up a few ideas as a way to try and make it work. So very much a planning and conceptual kind of stage is incredibly important. You've got to know what it is you're trying to do. Is it just simply a pop-up? Or are you literally just going to go get a church hall somewhere and just have authors turn up? I mean, one of the things that we wanted to do was to try and make it more of a community feel, the whole process, and Farnham are very keen on that kind of, all people within the community getting involved if we can. So we wanted to make it a fun event rather than it just being, a literary gathering, as it were. And on that basis, we've got things like competitions and all the rest. We can talk about those in a little bit as well. And we're also offering refreshments just as a way to try and cajole people and get them to sort of stay. Um, and I think the other thing is to say we in this particular instance have set out that this is a not-for-profit thing. But obviously, if
Yep.
you were doing this, professionally, you want to be able to make a profit. So you've got to be, think about your higher costs. You're thinking about your, if you are going to do refreshments, how much of that is, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole raft of those sort of things that you need to look at. So again, all part of your planning and your conceptual phase. The next sort of phase, as we see, it, is around the logistics of it. So we run it as a business. I mean, the thing is, and it's something that I think a lot of authors really forget. We are actually a business. We are a little mini business owner, particularly in the independent world. If we don't run it as a business, no one's going to see your book. No one's going to buy your book. Those sort of miracles just don't happen. We don't have the publicists or the promotional marketing or else around us. And it's the same with if you're planning or organizing an event, you have to treat it as a business. And I think if you can do that, that helps just set the mind and focus it a little bit more. Um, And then you've got other things that having to look at is the things like insurance. You need to invent event insurance, public liability insurance. Check out what the venue, if the venue that you're going to use, check out what they've got, what, how much. So, for example, the one that we're using at the UCA in Farnham, the University of Creative Arts, they want 10 million public liability insurance. So you've got to be able to go and have those conversations,
Crazy.
and it's an awful lot of money and it impacts your cost base, which is why you need to have that business focus. At the same time, you could then also try and get corporate sponsorship. Maybe that way you can try and offset some of those costs. At the end of the day, you want to get authors to come along and effectively sell their wares. And therefore, you've got to make it as cost effective for them, particularly as an indie author. If you're getting your books published and then you're bearing that cost, and then you've got to go and sell it, or you might do a print on demand and it's, Amazon or someone else is printing it for you and they take all of their costs. At the end of the day, for every £10 of sales, you might only get a couple of pounds to you in terms of royalties or profit or else, so you need to make sure therefore that when you go to an author, you don't want to be charging them, an exorbitant amount, because they won't bother. Because, if someone turned around and said to me, oh, it's £50, I'm saying, "So that's 25 books I've got to sell just to break even. Then there's all my time." Because this is another thing that I think people forget. The time that you spend on something, even if you said, oh, it's £10 an hour, £15 an hour. If you then see how much time you spend on something like this, then and then give it a financial value, you're just not gonna. It's never gonna fly. So you've got to try and find something, a price point that means that authors will come and display their wares. So again, that's something I think we need to be careful of. And then you've got to be aware of your branding and your marketing. So this is again this whole thing about being a business. So one of the things that I sort of my idea from a branding point of view for this is to call it indie voices. Yeah. So I think the strap line is something like meet the minds behind the magic or whatever it is, something like that. But the whole point is to try and create a brand, you know. And once you've got brand, you can then market the brand. It's an age-old concept and it's something that works, so you've got to do it. But then you've got to try and find ways to promote it. And we might talk about that in probably a bit more detail. Um, and in that, you need to be thinking about what kind of campaigns you're going to do. So, for example, one of the things that we're looking at doing is we've come up with flyers, we've come up with social media posts, we've come up with booklets, we've come up with those sort of things. And so, in the first instance, you try and all the authors to sign up, get them to push out to all of their contacts. Next thing is we've got to go and put flyers in shop windows. We've got to go and maybe put leaflets through doors. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things, lots of ways to try and do it. Podcasts, trying to get newspaper articles, local press, all of these kind of things to try and do it. Local community boards. We've got lots of villages in this area, and the vast majority of those villages will have their own little community board or a church. There might be a notice on a local church or something. So all of those sort of places to think about trying to get that up. And then you come to the point of where you're trying to actually set it up. And we're looking at you providing a minimum of 1 6 foot table for everybody to have, along with at least one, if not two chairs. Um, and that is the extent of what we're doing. We have to make sure there's plenty of room, there's plenty of space. We're running a couple of competitions, a book cover competition and a literary scavenger hunt, which basically means that that people will get a question and it'll say, oh, write down the title of a fantasy novel or write down the title of a graphic novel or something like that, so that someone can go around looking at all the tables and go, oh, that one's a fantasy novel, write that one down. Or someone might have a more specific question, what's the you know lead character of such and such a novel, and then they have to go and find that yeah, so it's those sort of things again to try and you know because when the people come through the door, we want to keep them there as long as we can. So having a competition, having refreshments, those kind of things, maybe a book reading or something like that is a way of trying to keep the interest and therefore give as much opportunity for the authors themselves to sell their books.
I had no idea putting all this work into it, Mark. I was like, okay, it's just going to be an indie book fair.
Yeah,
The
I
amount of
know.
work I have to put in some of the other things I do, it's like a lot as well.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It is interesting. I mean, um, I've never done a book fair, so I've never actually I've been to one, as in a punter, as a potential customer. I've been to them, and I used to do lots of craft fairs in a previous life as a hobby. I used to do lots and lots of different those sort of events, so I am used to that side of it. But I just thought it was interesting when I started looking at this as a process and talking to other people who've actually run and organized these sort of things. It's just like, well, if we can get the product right, at the end of the day, the product is the authors themselves, the actual fair.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to say half the battle. Um, so it's trying to make it as well as we want punters to come through the door, we also need to make sure that the authors themselves want to be part of it, you know. And I think these are the competitions and stuff like that, getting the engagement, making sure that they're involved. Again, one of the things I've committed to is to give each author who's paid up to actually have regular communication from me, so they feel part of it. Yeah. So but it was surprising to me. I think to do it and to do it well, how much time and effort is required to actually do it. As you say, I could have just gone, oh yeah, sign up here, waited and hoped that people would sign up, and then just go, right, here goes your table, see you later. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think that would fly, you know. But yeah. Also, I think the other thing I was going to say is it's like conversations I've had with the venue people at UCA in Farnham. You know, within the space of 5 minutes of having a conversation, they're already booking us in for next year. They want this again next year. They want to expand it.
Oh,
They
wow.
want to offer something else, you know. So they're already looking at it. They've already asked me to do like a debrief, a post fair sort of debrief to actually see what worked, what doesn't work, because they're in the learning process as well, you know,
Yeah.
getting signage and all these sorts of things to make sure that we get as many people through the door as possible. Yeah, so we talked there also about engagement, a sales strategy. We've also hinted at the post-event sort of follow-up. And I think the other thing for me, though, and I think this is what as just purely on a personal level, the fact is that there are, at the latest count, 20 other local authors that I didn't know exist who are coming along that are now part of our little local
Oh, we
author.
got 20, have we now? 20.
Yeah, we've got
Oh,
20.
wow.
So
I
it's
did a post on the self-publishing workshop. Well, I did a few posts on Facebook on the weekend,
all
and
right, cool.
I've got a few replies from those people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm coming," and I've already emailed you. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
Uh,
haven't sat there and tried to make up the emails and the Facebook replies, but I know people are coming to us
yeah.
through Facebook, which is quite good.
Which is excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I so originally we were looking at getting local authors and local indie publishers, independent bookshops
Yes.
and people like that. That side of it just didn't fly, could not generate any
No.
interest at
Well, it's
all.
because I think it's the dates weren't set by us; they were set by the festival group, and I don't think they looked at the fact that they're clashing with London Book Fair.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
that's
yeah.
obviously had a negative impact. So then last week it was like, okay, well, you and I are members of the same writing group. There will be other
Mhm.
writing groups. So
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
right, I'd do a general search, found I think half a dozen. I think it was 8 in the end. I wrote to, and straight away they're all gone. Oh, what a great idea! Yeah, we'd be interested in this. So straight away we've got, and there's still two other groups that have said that they will be coming back to me at some point. But
Yeah.
I'm also at a point now where I'm thinking I've got all this promotional material which has author details and all that kind of stuff, and I need to close it, for new applicants, as it were, um,
Yes.
shortly, or else because I can't,
Yeah. No,
But
can't
yeah,
manage it
so
otherwise.
I think, so on a purely personal level, it's been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's nice to have that kind of a project. It's nice to be able to, although I've not actually physically met these people yet, I will be meeting them. We've had lots of conversations via email and what have you. So, yeah, I think in that sort of sense, it's been really positive. So yeah, so we'll leave the actual event organizing there. And maybe
Yes.
I'll hand it over to you in terms of, as an author, things that you can then do to help promote your work at a book fair. What would you do? What are the things that you would look out to do?
Yes. Well, I'm thinking of putting some posts in local magazines and local papers. I must get on to that. I'm also thinking of putting details on my different networks, channels, and things, and see how that works. I've got a mailing list attached to the Farnham Flash Fiction competition, so I might put some more information on that.
Oh, well, yeah, of
Um,
course, yeah, because authors also read books, don't they?
yes.
Yes.
Um, I've got to. I After that, I'm a bit overwhelmed this month, to be honest. Um, it's funny how things creep up on you, don't they? I mean, I've got 5 events that I'm organising at the Farnham
Yeah.
Flash Fiction Farnham Literary Festival. I've got my fiction competition. Trying to do Substack and a bit of Instagram. I'm still doing all my promos on Instagram with the lovely Lazarus, but yeah, so it's all a bit overwhelming at the moment, and work is like really full on. I
Yeah.
do, I do 50, 60 hours a week at work.
Yeah.
And often when you finish work, I mean, I always think, oh, I'll just do an hour on the book since I finish work. Never feel like it. I never
Yeah.
feel like staying at my computer for
Yeah.
another hour after I finish work.
There's no
So,
way I could do it if I still had my career job. Not, I couldn't do it, any of this. I couldn't write. I couldn't. The whole
no,
reason I
it
didn't
does.
write is because I had a career job. So,
Yeah, they're quite exhausting, aren't they? I mean,
oh
I've
yeah,
got this habit of being able to write and do everything else, but it is terribly exhausting. I think you sort of like it, and in your mind you've got your ideal marketing, and then you've got what you actually end up doing, and
no,
that's what I hate about having the fact that I'm still working full time, because I always come to the end of things and I'm like, well, that was sort of like done in a mad rush.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Well, could it have been more effective if I thought more about this and planned more about it, in
yeah,
advance? And I don't know. It's just yes, it's the joys of trying to be a writer and working full time. But it's what you have to do. The thing is, what I will tell you, Mark, is it is actually better, despite my complaints, to be working, or in your case, I know you're retired,
yeah,
um, and have some money coming in that doesn't actually depend on your writing, because
yeah,
my
absolutely,
character there, Guy went on. I have actually had a stint before where I actually tried to make my writing pay,
yeah,
and make it pay.
yeah,
And when you start doing that, and you have to do lots of things to commercialize your work, it honestly feels like you're sending your children up chimneys,
yeah, yeah,
and you say, why haven't you made enough money for me to pay the rent? And
mm,
suddenly you end up hating your own writing, because
yeah,
you can't pay the rent. You've got huge financial problems.
yeah. The stress
Uh,
levels just aren't worth
and
it. Yeah,
so I've always found that it's easier to work
yeah,
and to earn my money doing one thing, and then to write in my free time. And hopefully the work is, at the
yeah,
moment, my work is extremely demanding. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a bit of a, but it's not always, and we have seasons. I mean, we're coming up on the second quarter. I'm going to be full on now till about June, but then it
Yeah,
does ease. It does go slightly less sane over the summer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just in time
so
for you to
that's
start
good.
another novel.
Stop taking the mickey. I'll be lucky if I finish the one I'm on by summer. As I said to you, I've only written that. I'm meant to be doing 1,000 words a day,
Yeah.
and what we are, 30 plus, say 31 plus 18. So we are six, 48, 48 days into the year. And I think I've only written 22,000 words, so I'm well off my target. But
Oh,
at least I do have a structure. When I started on the 1st of January, I didn't know what the end was. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew what my characters were and what they would be doing the minute they woke up from the previous novel. So I wrote that down. And then I thought, like, oh, now what? But I've actually written down where we're going now. So there are no excuses
that's
for not
good.
getting the damn
Yeah.
thing written.
But it's interesting. I would also say, and it relates to the whole branding kind of process, is to treat this as a business. And one of the every business would have targets, and you would set targets,
Yeah,
I don't see writing as being any different to that. You have a set
yeah.
target, and obviously you try and keep it, realistic and all the rest of it. But I do think because I mean, if you don't set a target, you could end up just aimlessly wandering around, almost zombified. That's just
But
maybe that's just
a lot
me.
of
Maybe it's
people,
just
yeah, a lot
I've
of
just
people
always
set stuff.
needed, to say, right, okay, yeah, I am terrible. I am every day I have a to-do list, so I want to do this today, do it. And I don't always achieve everything, but that's part of, for me. But let's go back to the just as some of the things that I certainly am thinking about and having spoken with other people who've done book fairs is so you've got your table, you've got a chair, and hopefully you've got enough stock. You've thought about it. I mean, one of the questions somebody asked me was, "Oh, how many books should I bring?"
Oh,
Well,
yeah, that's a good idea. Mm.
I'm sort of looking at 10 hardbacks, 10 paperbacks per novel
Oh,
as
that's a
my
lot.
minimum, and I think
Yep.
if I sold that would be 90 books. Sorry, 60. That was 60 books. If I've sold 60 books, yeah. Anyway, but the other advantage is anyway, you can always just say, oh, you want to get another one of the Keyholder's Apprentice? Of course. I haven't got any at the moment, but I'll get that for you. There's always those sort of things. Maybe don't sell your last book of
Mm.
that particular novel because you want someone still to come along. But yeah, so and that got me then thinking, okay, yeah, make sure you've got enough stock. Also think about pricing. You might want to sell it cheaper than say you have it on Amazon. Amazon will take, 70, 80% of that total book cost. If you've printed off copies yourself, if you've ordered 100 copies, you might have got it for cheaper than what Amazon can do it, plus their royalty. So you might want to say, okay, well, you can be a pound cheaper than Amazon. Or you might even turn around and say, do you know what? All I want to do is I'm building my brand here, so I'm prepared to let my books go at cost. So you could think about those sort of things, but you need, again, like a business, think about your pricing, think about that structure. So you've got your stock, you've got your pricing. Then you also need to make it attractive in a way. So don't just have a plain desk. Try and think about how to a display. If you went to a shop, every independent bookstore or any, you look at the window. You know, that's you're walking past that and you see that. Oh, they look at that. They've got this book or they've got that. Whatever. It's the same. It's the same for us. We need to make that table is our shop window, effectively. So we need to think about the
Oh, I've just had a
display.
brilliant idea because I
Have
caught
you
quite
now?
a few promo videos, so I could bring my laptop along and plug it in and have it running videos
Yeah,
from promo
absolutely.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, which are
I
like
mean, I
little
was,
mini trailers for my
yeah.
book.
See, that's the 21st century stuff. I was still thinking a bit old school. I think I'll have the different heights and have my,
Oh, that's
so
good, good, that's good.
maybe having a banner or a poster or something, and then I've some promotional material in different formats. But anyway, so
Are you gonna have a pop-up banner then?
I'm thinking about having a pop-up banner or some sort
Okay.
or something that might I might have a poster that sits over the front of the table, so it's
Yes.
people
I,
don't see my
I've got
legs, as it were.
I've got a lovely, very authentic red velvet tablecloth
Yeah, yeah.
that feels
Again,
like it might have come from my universe,
yeah,
and the green tablecloth as well. So I put the green tablecloth on top first, and then put the red tablecloth on top of it. So it
yeah,
gives that luxurious feel to it.
yeah.
And then I got some props, that sort of like make it feel a bit more sci-fi.
Absolutely. If you've got anything like that, a spaceship or model or anything,
Mm.
I think it's something that
People will come and have a look
draws,
at.
yeah, that draws the eye. So I think, so you've got your pricing, your stock, you've got your display, um, and then I think the other thing that we need to think about as authors is the sort of the promotional material that goes with it. You want to sell a book, but also you want them to be a regular customer. If ideally, it's not just buying one book, maybe. One of the things I'm designing at the moment is a bookmark, just a free bookmark, that
Yeah,
people can it just be free, it'll be on the side. It'll have my name, I'll have my website on there, and they can just help themselves to a bookmark. In fact, I'm even going to have a couple of tins of sweets so they can take a sweet, they take a bookmark. They don't have to buy a book. They can just
yeah,
leave
they
an
can stick
email
it with you.
address or whatever else it is.
So I want to ask you a question
Yep,
because you know that I write science fiction as Sally Ann Melia,
yep,
but that's my maiden name. Whereas my married name is Sally Dixon, as you
yep,
know.
yep,
Well, I write all my non-fiction under the name Sally Dixon,
yep. So
and
which
I've got
are you going to promote both, are you?
well, this is it. When I went up to a writing event last year, and I took both sets of books.
Yeah,
And my non-fiction, particularly my non-fiction book, Write Yourself Happy, which is about mindfulness and being happy with what you write. Because
yep,
you and I talk a lot about how to sell our books, but actually, a lot of people, I think, they go down this sub-publishing thing, and it's just like just soul destroying. And actually, you can
oh,
just have a
yeah,
great deal of satisfaction from finishing thing, and then using software to create some paperbacks, and then giving them to your friends. End off. Don't need to do
yep,
anything more. But
yep,
I'm moving to the point where that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going
yeah,
to do
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And yeah, so Write Yourself Happy actually outsold my science fiction books 2 to 1
Wow,
because the title was very evocative. A lot of people want to write; they want to be happy in their writing,
yeah.
and the cover was very good as well. So yeah,
So I think, I mean, it's I see people selling it. I mean, I will not for this particular fair, but I write other um, genre. I write novels in other genres, but I wrote those under a pen name. Effectively,
yes,
Derek M. Cartwright is a pen name because my name's
yes.
Mark, but there was already another author. But
You're
yeah,
getting very cagey here. Are you going to tell me now that you write erotica on the side? Because I'm going to get really.
no, I definitely
Yeah,
do
let's just
not.
clear it up. You're not being cagey because you write erotica as
No, no,
Deborah
no,
Cartwright.
no. Adult
Deborah.
thrillers, weirdly, adult thrillers and mid-grade fantasy. But no, yeah. So I think, I mean, for example, there's going to be writing groups who will come and they'll have, I don't know, three or four different authors on their particular
Yes,
stand.
yes, yes, yes.
So there's absolutely the only thing I'm saying is to people is to give it from the booklet point of view that I'm producing. I just want their major genre, and if their main pen name. So uh, there's nothing to stop you on your table having multiple
Yes,
books of different things, and then you can give out promotional material for either or. Um,
yes.
it's just from a booklet point of view, and that's just
Have you
about
got my
space.
how to write flash fiction books?
Yeah.
I mean, they sell really well as well. So
Again, one of the things I was looking at doing was a while ago, I wrote a booklet on a guide to self-publishing, basically.
yes,
Um, and I thought I might bring that. I might print a few of those off, and then people who might be interested in writing can just actually have the
Yes.
booklet. I'm not interested in making any money out of it. They can literally just have it. And I thought, oh, that might be a way of, again, it's just trying to think about not necessarily freebies. It doesn't have to always be something for nothing, but people like something for nothing. I think if you can
Yes.
then, and even a stupid thing, if you look like you're that genre. So if you, I don't know, I'm even thinking about getting a hat. I don't know. It's just something that,
Yeah, I know.
trying to,
A
when there's
lot of
20
writers
odd,
wear hats.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's really actually that sort of presentation of yourself. Look at, I must say, I'm thinking
absolutely.
about my dress code
Yeah,
and what I will wear
yeah,
because I look like, because you sort of like have to look more creative. You're sort of like becoming a different persona, aren't you?
absolutely. And that's it. I
You
mean,
have to go into that persona.
absolutely, your image, you're selling, and
Yes.
that's part of it. But yeah, so
Mm,
I just, anyway, so they were a few things that I'm looking at doing, and that's
I know.
based on what other people have, yeah, who've done this before, some of the things that they've been suggesting. So, yeah, I think it'd be great. It's going to be hopefully a lot of fun. The next thing really is now that I think we've got quite, we've got a few more fantasy writers than ideal in the sense of it'd be great if we had one or two authors across a whole raft of different genres.
Yes.
But we've got three students who are coming along to do graphic and comic
Novel.
type
Oh, that's very good.
stuff, which is different. It's
Yeah.
also a younger
Younger
demographic.
demographic. Yeah.
There's obviously self science
Yeah.
fiction as well as
Yeah.
non-fiction. Um, I'm comic fantasy. I'm the only one who writes. Uh, I'm going to say witty, humorous stuff. We've got a political fantasist. We've got children's authors. We've got thrillers. We've got so that we do have it a bit, but it just we don't appear to have anyone from the literary world, literary fiction.
Hmm.
We've got our first poet, so we've
Oh,
got a
very good.
poet.
Love poet.
So that's some, so that's, so we're getting there. The
Yes.
next thing really is to try and, the event. We've got product. What I'm saying is we've now got a product. We've got something that I think that's really good, something that we can now sell and promote. And that's the next. So the next
Good.
2 weeks is really me trying and all the other authors is trying to get the out
Yep.
there. And I was thinking, if there's 20 authors there, if each of us can bring 10 people, that's 200 people through the door,
Yep.
you know, that
Yeah.
should generate some sales. I mean, obviously, the law of averages would indicate and suggest that not everyone is going to sell a book or two, and then someone else might sell, 10. We won't know until the actual day, but it'll be an interesting exercise to find out.
It will be. It will be.
But yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
it'll be a lot
So,
of fun. A lot of fun.
uh,
Right. On that bombshell, should we leave it there?
we shall leave it there. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Mark. Thank you
All
for a
right.
nice evening.
And
Again, it's
you.
always lovely talking to you.
And take
And
it easy. Yeah.
have a very good evening.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Good night.
Bye.